Hey to everybody out there watching, it's JT from Keystone Crew Outdoors, giving you a recap for the Rapala Fantasy Fishing and Mercury Drain the Lake from the Bassmaster Elite Series on the St. Johns River, as well as my picks for Stop 2 of the Elite Series, the Harris Chains of Lakes in Leesburg, Florida, starting tomorrow, February 17th, and going through February 20th, 2022. First, I want to thank all of you for watching last week's video, and I have to apologize for how crappy my picks were. It just goes to show you all the research in the world can sometimes be thrown out the window when it comes to these events. St. John's certainly threw a curveball at the anglers and the whole fantasy fishing community. Some absolute hammers finished pretty poorly. And we're going to talk about that in a little bit here. But here's a recap of my picks and the event and what a perfect roster would have looked like. So the picks I went with, I said last week, would be like my gut picks. So I went with Ike in Bucket A, and he finished 93rd. Pretty terrible as far as a Bucket A angler can finish. Bucket B, I had Powroznik. He had a slow start, but I ended up finishing 26th. Our hometown hero, Jonathan Kelly, had a great showing for his rookie debut. I think he finished in the 30s someplace. He got to fish on day 3, and that was awesome to watch. Mark Menendez was my Bucket D pick. He finished 69th, and I had Justin Atkins finishing 45th. So on to my actual research picks. Greg Hackney finished 58th, Drew Benton 62nd, Brian New with the 22nd finish, Cliff Prince finished 66th, and Matty Wong finished 21st. If you had a perfect roster, it would have looked something like this. You would have had Austin Felix finishing 6th, John Cruz finishing 1st, John Cox finished 4th, Bob Downey 2nd, and Jamie Hartman 16th. My weight was in the ballpark, though. I said 78.8, and the winning weight was 75.4. But enough about the St. John's. It's in the past. Let's move forward to our picks for this week for the Harris Chains of Lakes. It's the second stop in the Florida Swing, and it's also the second tournament of the 2022 Elite Series. The Harris Chain of Lakes is made up of 8 lakes connected by canals and little streams and rivers, although only 7 of the lakes are in play for the anglers in this tournament, because the one lake, it really isn't passable with their boats. The lakes are full of both submerged and visible vegetation, shell bars, cypress trees, docks, and seawalls, so all the techniques should be in play, all styles should be in play. The weather and the spawn seem to be matching up really nicely too. There's a full moon tonight, so all that goes into play, and I think it's going to be a really big bag for this tournament. So my gut picks, here we go. These are what I'm probably going with, even though I did research some of this stuff later on. So this is what I picked as soon as the buckets were released. Bucket A, I have Austin Felix, currently owned at 2.7%. Bucket B, Brandon Palaniuk, 25.6%. Bucket C, Brandon Cobb, 17.5%. Bucket D, I can't believe he's even in Bucket D. I have to go with the llama, Seth Feider, 26.7%. And Bucket E, I have to stick with my boy Ike. I can't believe he is in Bucket E. He won't be there long, though, I'm sure of it, with 19.4% owned. All right, so here's my research picks. After how the last tournament went, I'll spare everybody the big long-winded reasons why I'm ranking the anglers the way I am. Just know that I've read the pundits' articles, watched different videos, and I personally power rank their picks. I kind of pool them all and give them a point system, and I'll run down. I'm going to give you the top 2 or 3 picks in each bucket that I have power ranked myself. For Bucket A, I think you should all go with John Cox. He's my top-ranked pick for Bucket A. He's currently owned in 48.1%, though, so a lot of people are in on Cox. He finished 4th on the St. Johns River. My second-ranked pick that I have is Patrick Walters. He's owned in about 14.7%, and he had a 7th place finish on the St. John's. Now, like I said, my pick that I'm actually going with without the research is Austin Felix. He's currently owned low with 2.7%. In his last 6 tournaments, he's been in the top 20. Only one of those was out of the top 10, and it was a 4th place finish. And he finished 6th on the St. John's River. So I'm looking for him to stay hot, and I'm going to go with Austin Felix. Bucket B. Jacob Powroznik's my top-ranked angler in Bucket B. He's owned by 16.1% of you out there. I expect a good tournament from him. He had a slow start on the St. John's, but ultimately put it all together and finished 26th. So I really think that he's going to have a strong tournament. Chris Johnston's my second-ranked angler in this bucket. He's currently owned with 11.6%. He had a 35th place finish on the St. John's stop. My pick, though, as I said, I'm going with Brandon Palaniuk. He's currently owned by 25.6% of the people playing. After finishing in the top 20 with his 20th place finish at the St. John's, he announced he and his girlfriend are expecting a baby, so congrats, Brandon, and let's keep the good vibes going. He's a threat to finish in the top 10 everywhere he goes. So I'm going with Palaniuk there with as my initial pick. Bucket C, I have Scott Martin as my number 1 ranked angler. He's owned by 25.9% of the people playing. It was tough for him, though, at the St. John's. He finished 56th place. My second pick for Bucket C, I have Brian Schmidt. He's owned by 6.9%, and he finished 41st at the St. John's. My pick, though, is Brandon Cobb. He's owned by 17.5%. I'm taking Cobb with my pick because I'm tempted to take him every tournament. So good a time as any. It's early in the season, and I really do think Cobb could do something here. Bucket D, like I said, this is where all of those anglers that are so good kind of fell in this tournament. So Bucket D, Greg Hackney, he was the top pick out of Bucket A last week. And he's my top pick for Bucket D. He's owned by 33.5%, so everyone who was in on him in the St. John's is still in on him. He kind of just stumbled there. I expect him to be pissed off after the 58th place finish and, have a good bounce-back tournament. Probably finish in the top 10. My second pick for this bucket is Drew Benton. He's owned by 9.8% of you out there. He finished 62nd at the St. John's, though. So all these good anglers are kind of down here in the lower buckets. So good value picks here, like Seth Feider is who I'm going with from Bucket D. He's owned by 26.7%, and he won't be in this bucket very long. There's just too much value here with the Llama being in Bucket D. It was a very uncharacteristic 60th place finish for him. He was last year's Angler of the Year, so I expect him to have a monster tournament here too. Bucket E, I have Kyle Welcher as my top ranked bucket fisherman in this bucket. His own percentage is 24.1% though. He finished 89th at the St. John's. Derek Hundall, I gave him my second rank pick here out of the Bucket E. He's owned at 5.2% right now. He had a 90th place finish. My pick though, that I said when the buckets came out, my initial pick, I have to go with Ike. Never give up. 93rd place finish, though. I mean, that's kind of tough for us here, Ike. Like Feider, there's way too much value here for Ike to be in Bucket E. No way he stays here long. He's owned by 19.4% of you out there. And like I said, it was a dismal 93rd place finish. And he's definitely bouncing back. No way he's going to let it happen 2 tournaments in a row. It was pretty hilarious, though, how he showed off his 14-ounce fish that he caught on the day 1 weigh-in with pride. He had that lifted up there, and it was just, I thought it was very funny. Tie-breaking weight. I'm going with 98 pounds, 13 ounces for this one. I think it's going to be a very large bag for this. Just to give you an idea of the size of the fish that can potentially be caught in this tournament, back in January, the College Tour won with a 2-day bag limit of 61 pounds, 13 ounces. The high school limit was like a 1-day event, I think, and that was 25 pounds, 6 ounces, with the big bass from that being 9 pounds, 7 ounces. The juniors, 2 fish limit, 11 pounds, 12 ounces. With the big fish there, the largest bass, 9 pounds, 9 ounces. So the winning weights for the elites could be in the 90s to 100 range. It may take 15 to 20 pounds a day to crack the top 10 in this tournament. So a recap here. My picks that, I initially said I was going to go with for me. Bucket A, I have Austin Felix, 2.7%. Bucket B, Brandon Palaniuk, 25.6%. Bucket C, Brandon Cobb, 17.5%. And Bucket D, Seth Feider, 26.7%. Bucket E, I have Mike Iaconelli, 19.4%. Now, the picks with my research, this is what I would go with if you were into researching it and not going with your gut. I have Bucket A, John Cox, owned by 48.1%. Bucket B, Jacob Powroznik, 16.1%. Bucket C, I have Scott Martin at 25.9%. Bucket D, Greg Hackney, 33.5%. And Bucket E, Kyle Welcher, at 24.1%. So that brings us down to Mercury Drain the Lake. Here's my picks for that. Drain the Lake's an elimination survivor style game. You can only use the angler once all season. We started off with 94 anglers to pick. I believe with the 9 events left, we're down to 88 anglers that you can pick from. I'm going with Scott Canterbury, Jeff Gustafson, Derek Hundall, Koby Kreiger, Scott Martin, Tyler Rivet, Hunter Shryock, and David Williams as my Drain the Lake picks. It's getting tougher already, and we only have 1 tournament down. But you look at these anglers that you thought were going to be absolute hammers on the St. John's, and they stumbled a little bit, and now it's like I wasted some of those picks for last week. So it's getting tougher out there. Good luck to everybody out there playing. Sorry for the late video. Quick turnaround here, with the tournaments being back-to-back weeks like this on the Florida Swing. I appreciate you all watching. We'll catch you next time.